all the students, and then I'll hand over the session to you, ma'am.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. All right. So, as we all know, that virtual has become the new reality now. In fact, there is a jump in demand for virtual hiring system from across industries, and the trend is here to stay. In such a scenario, it becomes imperative for students to understand the concept of virtual interviews and be better prepared to crack it. So today's, on similar lines, we are hosting a webinar on the topic Acing Virtual Interviews. And the guest speaker for the session is Mrs. Lavneet Kaur. She is working as Manager Learning and Development at Alembic Pharmaceuticals. She is a certified trainer by Tata Institute of Social Sciences and also a certified instructional designer. Past organizations, she has been associated with are Kotak Mahindra Bank, Hayful Private Limited, Philips India, and Powerhouse, a Microsoft partnership entity. In the last 9 years, Mrs. Lavneet has worked across diverse industries, working closely with business heads and teams on learning program design and facilitation, e-learning, leadership development, organizational development, competency mapping, employee engagement, and program management. Mrs. Lavneet truly believes in designing learning solutions with innovative approaches and technologies based on adult education, best suited for multi-generations in the workplace. So now, without further ado, I'd like to hand over the session and invite Madam Lavneet for the session. Madam, a warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for taking out time for our students, and especially coming up with the most required topic during this COVID and during this pandemic when the entire hiring has shifted to virtual. So over to you, madam.
Thank you so much. I think that was a very warm welcome. I think I am honored to be here with all of you. Right now on this particular call, we have, on this meeting, we have 75 participants. Rubia, if you could just confirm everyone can chat and everyone can unmute themselves and also talk if I ask a question. Is that
actually, students can only write in the chat box. The platform which we are using does not allow the students to unmute themselves. So they can put down their questions in the chat box and we'll be reading it on their behalf from there.
Okay. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. So as long as, we can keep the interaction going on chat, that works for me. Like Madam Rubia introduced me, I've been now in the industry for over a decade. And primarily what I do, if I have to explain my job to all of you, is I train people. I train our leaders. I am working currently in a pharmaceutical organization. In the past, I've been associated with a bank. I've worked with an IT organization. I've worked with a healthcare organization. And what I am going to share with you is a little bit from my own experience of how, virtual interviews are very different. And at the same time, I've also been sitting through, campus hiring. So this is again, some of those observations that I've always seen, students make mistakes on. And I would always wonder, why did they not prepare better? And so this is just an encapsulation of all that. Now, for me to really be effective and for all of you to get the most from this entire session, I have a few expectations, okay? The first one, as you see, is, no social media. I know all of you at this point of time might have access to your phone and it's very distracting, but for us to really get the most in the next 60 minutes, my request would be that, do not use your social media, and at the same time, try and participate as much as possible. Because again, this is a commitment. Ki chalo 1 hour, we are going to listen to you and let's get the most. Whatever that I have learned in my experience, I am open to sharing with all of you open-heartedly. But for you all to get the most, you all really need to participate. And at the same time, if you feel something is helpful, useful, take a screenshot or make a note. So if you have a notepad with you, make a note, or if you have your mobile phones, just click a photo and keep that saved with you if you find something relevant. I hope those expectations are pretty simple and clear. Yes, no? Okay, I still see the good afternoon coming in. A quick yes would help me. Everyone can do that for me? Yes, there we go. Perfect. So with that in mind, we'll be primarily touching on two topics. One is, how do you prepare for an interview? and at the same time, what can make or break your virtual interview. Now, before I move forward, I have a quick request to the support team. Vaibhav, is it possible that I can use my slide deck, because I've put all this in an animation format, and that would help me while I interact with the students. Is that possible? Rubia?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible that I can use my presentation?
Yes, of course, ma'am. You'll just have
because right now everything is coming together, and I would really want to use the animations. But nevertheless, I think let's move on. This is the new normal, and I should say now this is how it is. Technology, every platform is new, and let's move on. Now, I also want to let you know, in terms of this topic, why did I choose? At some point of time, I remember 3 months ago, Rubia had reached out saying, inviting that, why don't you come over and do a session? And I took my time. I took my time to look at, what would be relevant for all of you. At the end of the day, if all of you are going to invest time, can we pass some knowledge which will help you tomorrow, or in the days to come, or in the months to come? So that's why this particular topic. And I also know for a fact, and I can guarantee you, all those people who are going to pick up little bits of tricks and traits from me on this interview preparation will get a value addition. Because right now, what you know is what you know. If you listen to me, you probably would end up knowing a little bit more, okay? Not trying to sell myself, but at the same time, just trying to reinforce that, this session will be helpful for you. Now, I want to begin by telling you, there is no shortcut. There is no mantra. Preparation is the key. I will tell you how you start preparing, but preparation is the key. And you have to do that effort. Neither can your professors do it. Neither can your parents do it. Each of you individually have to start preparing for your placements, for the interviews that will be coming up, which also means preparation is not one day prior. It is not even 1 month prior. If you are in your final year, then probably, placements are very close. Even if you are in your last year and you still have another 6-7 months to go, you can still start preparing. Because at the end of the day, you know your goal already, that you have to sit for your placements. And at the end of the day, let me also tell you, cracking an interview, this is not going to be a one-time job. In your entire career span, you will continue to move from one organization to another. So it is very important that once and for all, you figure out how do you actually master, giving interviews. So when I said preparation is the key, I want to tell you there are 5 different steps. When I looked back, I realized there are 5 broad things that, an individual must do if they have to prepare for an interview. The first 2 things, you don't even need to wait for a company to come. It starts with you. Everything at the end of the day starts with you. So the first 2 steps, you don't even need to wait for a company to come to your campus. You can actually start doing it right now. And my request would be all those in the final year of placements. Can I also just ask, when is the placement? I mean, have organizations started to come in? I assume they should have.
Yes. Lot many organizations have already started to coming, and few more organizations are lined up in the coming years now.
Okay, perfect. So right now, the first 2 steps, you don't even need to wait for Madam Rubia to inform you when is the next company coming. Go back and rework on these steps. The reason I'm saying is rework is, you might say that, Lavneet ma'am, I've already done it. But you know what? Let me show you. The first step is understanding yourself. Oops, so step 1 is understanding yourself. I'll tell you why. Why am I saying understanding yourself? You hand us a CV, and at least 40 to 50%, at least 50% of the questions will come from your CV. Now, can't you be thorough with your CV or your resume? It is your education, your experience. Be thorough with it. I have had situations where, the candidates would tell me 72%. Okay, in their 10th or in their 12th standard, and when I look at the paper, it is 73. Now the question is not that it is just 1% deviation. The question is, this is about you, and if you can't be sure about yourself, how can you be sure about our organization when you come here? So this bit, you have to be absolutely sure and thorough. Your education, your experience. I also want to say every individual, each one of us, 109 of us right now on this call, have some accomplishments and some achievements. You need to identify those. Okay, it could be as simple as that in my 10th standard, or let's say in my college, in my 12th standard, I scored an 80%, but by the time I completed my graduation, I realized I can be stronger in academics and my marks improved significantly. And now I have scored 95%. Now that's how you build your accomplishment. Now for this, you don't need to wait for an organization to come. You need to identify your accomplishments, your achievements, identify what are your skills that you have, what is unique about you. Otherwise, just imagine I'm coming to your campus. For me, all of you in a batch, if there are 30, 40 of you, all of you have undergone the same syllabus. You might have scored different marks, but at the end of the day, how do I understand what is unique about you? What is your skill set? At the same time, I would also say the last three are also very important. Today, organizations, they don't just care about your academics. Otherwise, it would have been very simple. We would go to every campus and tell them that, give us the top 10 toppers of your, of your college, if that was what we wanted. No, I don't think we only look at academics. We also look at your community service. How much time are you, or what are you doing apart from your studies? Okay. Are there any clubs, organizations that you have joined? What are your extracurricular activity interest? Okay. Those things also matter. I'm telling you, those things absolutely create that difference and edge. A lot of times I've seen individuals forget to explore that, or they forget to write that about themselves. My request is, please do that. Okay, so my request is, again, if you want to differentiate yourself from the rest, and I'm talking to all of you as individuals, if you want to differentiate yourself from the rest, try and identify what is unique about you. What is common? Your studies, that we already know. We'll go through 2-3 resume CVs, it is there. But what is going to differentiate is going to create that edge. So that is step number 1. Are we clear so far? Because this is the first step and the most important. Right now, a lot of time our students, they jump on to step 3, 4, whereas their basics are not in place. And like I told you, 50% of the questions that any interviewer will ask you will start with this. If you are thorough with this, trust me, it becomes easier for you to move forward. Now let's look at the second step, okay? The second step is creating a professional resume. Now, I do understand your college would have created a template for you, right? A templated form of your CV or your resume. Now, what I want you to do is, if you read point number 3, create a powerful, competent, experienced image by using action words to describe yourself and your accomplishments. Okay? Describing yourself, I don't think the college is going to teach you that you have to explore yourself. And if you see in that image beautifully, when a company comes to your campus, how can you have the light shining on just you? Okay, how can we just look at your CV? And that is usually the first step, or let me tell you, even after the initial rounds of aptitude group discussion, the moment we get those CVs, how can we ensure that you have that limelight? One very simple trick which I do want to let all of you know is we've moved away from the traditional formats of CVs to a very visually appealing modern CV, okay, which really highlights the soft skills, the hard skills, the personal information. Not just this, let me show you in the next image. Right now, when we interview, and this is something that we personally acknowledge, if you see on the top left, how are you projecting yourself? Your that one piece of paper can actually define, can actually make or break you getting that interview. Okay, so take that extra effort to actually do that. And this I want to tell you, not just because this is your first hiring step, first time you're going to face the interview, but even in the future, like I said, as you grow within your career, you will give multiple interviews. Your CV is your image. It's like your clothes, it's your digital clothes, how people look at you, and you really want it to be the best. Another aspect I want to cover is building a better LinkedIn profile. Social media today is extremely important, extremely. Okay, if you look at this, I was actually just reading through, and this was a study highlighted, circled in red for all of you. 35% of the employers formally evaluate candidates' social media profiles. They do that. I'm guilty of doing that as well. In the past, when I've had 2-3 candidates who are of the same caliber, same experience, same educational qualifications, and I want to see how do I differentiate. I try, and because at the end of the day, see, they're going to be working with us. So we go back, we look at their social profiles, and if we find out that this person has a lot of political opinions which are up there in the media, or is constantly using derogatory languages on posts, we definitely know that this person is not for our organization. So how you present yourself, and today's social media, all of this is interlinked. A lot of technology has come in where a lot of tools that we use to do your reference check can actually bring out all the posts, all your activities on social media. So be very careful. And I again want to tell you, building a better LinkedIn profile, it is also about following the relevant groups, following people who have been there in your industry, who've achieved a lot. Look at what they are doing, look at what they are posting, try and pick up from them. Those are conversations where you should also be engaging with them. I'm assuming all of you here who are going to be sitting in for placements have a LinkedIn profile. Yes, that should be compulsory. Yes, no, everyone has a LinkedIn profile.
Student, please kindly speak for yourselves, because I know the scenario that very few of them have their LinkedIn profiles. But I think after today's session, you would go back, and if you don't have any LinkedIn profile, you should create one.
Well, then that is very disappointing, because when you say social media, I'm sure all of you, without even asking all of you, I can say that at least more than 95% of you will have Facebook. More than 70 to 80% of you will have Instagram. But what about LinkedIn? If social media is important, let me also tell you, LinkedIn is the place that all of you need to be. And it's not just about creating, it's also about how much time are you investing, following the relevant people, looking at their posts, learning from them. Because I'll tell you what, theoretical knowledge, I'm telling you, your professors are doing a wonderful job in, building your knowledge. But at the same time, what is happening within the industry, what is happening across organizations, that efforts you have to pick up. You are at this stage in your life where spoon feeding will not work. It is your career, you have to work. So again, another expectation is, make a note somewhere for yourself that every day creating, yes, LinkedIn profile, but at the same time, investing time in it is also important. Okay, following the relevant people, following relevant groups, try and learn, try and create a network of yours. Because I'll tell you what, when the pandemic hit us, a lot of people had to lose their jobs, and a lot of my own circle, okay, had posts up saying that, I have lost my job, I need help. And I'm telling you, LinkedIn community worked a lot of favors, a lot of support was created. So please be there. Today, probably, you might need someone's help. Tomorrow, you will be in a position where you will be able to help someone. So that's how it is, okay? So now tell me one thing. What did I tell you? The first 2 steps that I took you through, you don't even need to wait for a campus. The first is understand yourself. Be thorough with your own qualifications, your own achievements. And the second one was about creating. So this was the first one that we went through, about understanding yourself. And the second one was about creating your personal profile that really makes you stand out. And you should be thorough with that. I'm telling you this, so every day, like a Bible, practice. Okay, because and this is not a one day before, there are a lot of people, when they know tomorrow is the interview, one day prior they start practicing these two things. No, the first thing that I judge any individual for is when they talk about themselves. If you cannot be confident about yourself, how will you be confident about our products? How will you be able to sell our products or market our products? Or people in the HR, how will you be able to interact with our employees? There's a big question mark. So the first thing is be confident about yourself. So doing the first two steps thoroughly is very important. And for this, you don't even need to wait for a company to come. Now, once you've done these two steps, okay, next is the moment you get to know that, an organization is coming. Okay, the first thing that you should do is know the organization better. Start from the top, know the organization better, try and understand the organization's history and also the industry within which it operates. Now, I know being a pharma college, you will have a lot of pharma organizations coming. Now, if you know this is your industry, then you should know by heart which are the top 20 companies that you are aiming for. Understand the history, understand the products or therapies within which the pharma organization operates, which are those top selling products which are there in the market, how old are they, and also on LinkedIn try and follow the key management team members of these pharma organizations. Now again, to follow people on LinkedIn, no one is going to stop you, but at the same time no one is going to do that for you. Also, you have to do that by yourself. And I'm telling you, these are these small things that people who do are able to succeed better in life. Okay, these are small things. I'm telling you, they don't take much time. Small triggers that you can create, which will actually help you move faster and longer in life. Now, so after knowing the organization, once you've understood the organization, the next thing you should do is know the position. Okay, so knowing the position is all about understanding what does this role demand from me. What am I supposed to do as part of this role? Okay, why and how can you understand this better? Imagine the company is hiring for a management trainee. I'm just taking an example. Lupin, okay, let's say Lupin is coming to your campus, or Glenmark is coming, or Alembic is coming. Why don't you go to LinkedIn and search for Alembic pharmaceutical management trainee? Look at the profile of an existing management trainee who's working there. What will happen is you will understand what is their day-to-day job. And I'm also telling you, take that extra step. Why don't you drop them a message and also tell them that, your organization is coming to our campus, and on a personal level, I would want some help from you. If you can help me, just be better prepared for the interview. I'm telling you, it's a matter of trying and doing it. 99%, the person will take out the time and will support you. I'm telling you, they will do that. They will do that. You might have to reach out to 4 or 5 people, but out of those 4 people that you reach out to, for sure there'll be one person who will respond to you. And even if they don't respond to you, go back, have a look at their profile. So you get an understanding of what is the duties, what are the roles and responsibilities of this job. At the same time, also understand the compensation range. Typically, what is the career path? How long does it take? You can have a look at. So I'm telling you, all this comes from LinkedIn, okay? Have a look at it, when they were a management trainee, or when they were a medical rep, or when they were a PMT as part of the marketing team. How long does it take to move up the career ladder? Does it take 2 years? Does it take 3 years? That will give you an overall vision of your career. And I'm telling you, that will also give you a confidence when you tell the interviewer that, what, I'm interested in this role. I'm also looking at people who have worked in this similar role, and I'm trying to understand, how far they have grown in their career. Understand the location, understand the working schedule, and also understand the benefits. Now, this is just about knowing the position so that you are thorough. An interviewer expects you to be thorough with this. They are not going to sit there and explain this to you. They are there in that interview panel to evaluate you. That is their job. So remember that as well. Okay. So that's step number 4. Now, These 4 steps, whether it is a virtual interview or an in-person interview, this remains constant. However, what has happened right now is, after the COVID pandemic, things have changed, and that's when step number 5 comes in. Another trick I would tell all of you is, why don't you just take a screenshot or a picture of this slide that you see right now? These are typical questions. I'm probably I'm letting the cat out of the bag, but this is how we as interviewers start our conversations. That, Lavneet, tell me a little bit about yourself. Bring me up to date with your CV. Now that question, if you remember, I told you, you need to be confident about yourself. Or, why did you choose this college? Why did you choose this degree? Okay, what experience do you have? Why do you like this role, Or what are your major achievements? What interests you? What do you know about the organization? These are like typical questions that you would ask anyone. Now, you don't need to prepare extra for that. This is a one-time job. Reflect, think, create your powerful, an answer which you can continue using all the time. It's as simple as that, I've had so many cases where after, the moment you ask someone, how much do you know about the organization? They just have one sentence. That's it. Now that automatically helps us understand how much interest you have in our organization. If from a research perspective, you only had one sentence to tell us, it tells us how much interest you have. So these questions, and I'm sure there are a lot more that you can think, but be prepared with them. Again, for this, I think you have faculty members, you have professors in your college who can sit with you, who can help you. What you can always do is, between yourselves also, you can actually take these mock sessions, which I'm sure you would be doing. Now, as I was telling you, what happened was COVID came in March, this year, and a lot changed. A lot. Okay. Till step number 4, you would have any which ways done. Okay. Whether it was in person or virtual. Now is when the virtual bit comes in. Okay. With COVID in place, I'm sure most of you, okay, even if you are getting an opportunity to have an in-person interview, it is expected. Every organization expects that over and above your skills, you are comfortable with technology. And we do understand that, all of you, including me, we're working from home. So that's why you see that lady there who has, notebooks piled up and she has light on her face. Well, that's how work from home is. But at the same time, with technology, can we still operate? Can we still work? And that is the need of the hour. So right now, step number 5 for you is just one day prior to the interview. You need to ensure you have the right environment. If you are, so right now, Rubia, if you could let me know, how are the interviews happening? Are companies coming to the campus or is it virtual?
It's kind of a mixed thing. Some companies are taking the interviews virtually, and some are coming to the campus, not exactly to the campus, and they are conducting one round virtually, the other round face to face. So it's a mixed kind of a thing.
It's a mix.
Yeah.
It's a mix. So like I said, you might get an opportunity to actually meet the person in person also for the interviewer. But let me tell you one thing, whether your interview happens virtually or not, the organization definitely expects you to work virtually. The amount of traveling that all of us used to do, for meetings, we would travel across the country, across various cities, that has reduced drastically, because right now every organization expects, and this is the first time when they actually judge this, is during your interviews. How is your environment? How is your lighting? I see a lot of people, attending interviews, and this is again feedback from last week where I had someone who was sitting in the dark. And I was just wondering, does he realize that, I can barely see him? Having the correct amount of lighting on your face, the camera angle, dressing for success, very important. If you were meeting an interviewer in person, you would dress up, right? You would, I am sure. However, when the same interview happens virtually, how many of you actually take that efforts to dress up? I'm telling you, you should. And at the same time, test your tech tools. Technology things can go wrong anytime. Even right now for this session, I have my mobile phone with me because I know that the show must go on. If my laptop crashes, or if something happens, I need to know the work still needs to happen. This session needs to get done. So even with respect to you, do you have a plan B in place? Okay, how do you mitigate any sort of crashes that may happen because of technology? So these are five things that you should definitely be prepared with. Now, what I am going to tell you next is what can really make or break the entire virtual interview game. Now, the expectation is all of you, and this is probably, true also if COVID-19 did not happen. The expectation would have been that, daily you would go to office, you would meet people, or even on the field, depending on your work. However, right now, the reality is a lot of work needs to be done individually. A lot of work needs to be done just with you and your laptop, your system. So, which also means, like I said, technology has become an integral aspect. Today, you can't say that, hey, I'm not so tech savvy. Hamare batch mein, this is the most tech savvy person. Doesn't work. Trust me, it doesn't work. Today, I do want to share. Yesterday, I was in a webinar where Sir Narayan Murthy was there. He's 74 years young. And what he said was, technology needs to be a cakewalk. If Indians really want to transform the world, we can't say that, we have bad internet connections. We can't say that. That is not acceptable only now. So really looking at, how do you overcome technology? That is what we need to see. And I want you to again take a picture of this. What can really make or break your virtual interview? Okay, take a picture of this. Let me start by explaining each one of these to you. And what my request would also be that, if you can put this as a wallpaper, when you go for an interview, or the moment you attend a group discussion or an aptitude or a one-on-one interview, remember this, tell yourself, train yourself. One is your competency. Competency is nothing but your knowledge, skill, attitude. At every point of time, the interviewer is checking whether you have the right knowledge, right skill, right attitude. There is no compromise, absolutely no compromise on that. For that, what you also need to do is go back, brush up your academics. Yeah, very important. And it's not just about theoretical knowledge today. It is also about, can you apply that knowledge? Application is important. Okay, so your competency is the first thing. The second thing is clarity. When you are talking, how clear are you? Okay, can you speak with a lot of conviction? And that's why I always say a clarity and communication actually go hand in hand. If you have clarity, you will communicate clearly. Okay, if you have clarity, you will communicate clearly. And today we need good communicators. Mind you, I'm not saying we don't need people who speak fluent English. I'm saying that again and again. We don't need, people who speak fluent English. We need people who can communicate well. Okay, even within my own organization, Alembic Pharmaceutical, we are spread across all cities in India. We are okay, if people are communicating in Hindi, in Punjabi, in Tamil, in Tulu, that's absolutely fine with us. But at the same time, one, they should know English, but at the other end is they should be able to communicate effectively. And even within your interviews, no matter how smart you are, no matter how knowledgeable you are, if you cannot communicate, trust me, it will fall back. And not just for this interview, even as you grow up in your career ladder, communication is something that you must brush up. I also want to tell you, communication is like any other skill. You can learn cycling, you can learn swimming, you can brush up, and you can learn communicating effectively as well. We don't want you to become Shakespeare. What we really want is that confidence. When you communicate, you need to be confident. A lot of times during interviews, candidates end up giving a lot of respect to the interviewer. They are very passive, very polite. We can barely hear them. Don't do that. You have to be confident. If you are not confident, how will the interviewer really see that confidence that this person, if I hire in my team, in my organization, will do well? So that confidence needs to come in. and it needs to show also. It's not just about keeping that confidence to you. Again, these are things that your professors can tell you, but you yourself need to build on these. Okay, you need to tell yourself, I have the knowledge, I have done all my studies, I need to communicate clearly, and I need to be confident, and at the same time, really, really, really master technology. I want to pause here because I have been talking for the last 30, 35 odd minutes. I would like to ask, are there any questions that you have in your mind right now as we're, going through this? Any questions or anything you would want to share? Any experiences? While you are just thinking, it's okay, take your time. There is no hurry for a question. While you are thinking, I do want to tell you that anyone who sits in an interview, any candidate, everyone has only one goal, that we must pass this interview. I don't think you ever enter an interview thinking that, Arey, I don't want to clear this interview. If you are going to tell me that, I don't trust you on that. Anyone who ever enters or sits for an interview, the expectation is that, I should just clear this interview. So why not put in that effort of those first 5 steps that I told you? Now, as I move forward, I also want to share with you 3 things from my own self. Okay, how to improve communication skills, Smriti says. I also want to tell you, communication skills are not like tablets. Ek bar khali and the transformation happens. No, it doesn't. It happens every day through baby steps. Okay, one is, you have to practice. No matter how much I read how to ride a bicycle, unless and until I get on the bicycle, I will not learn. So even with respect to communication skills, my request is, and an easy way, you might feel uncomfortable that, how can I go around talking to everyone in English? What you can do is record yourself. Do that. Trust me, it helps you. I'm telling you, after delivering so many sessions in the last 9-10 years, even when I'm nervous about a session, I actually get on my laptop, I record it, and I listen to myself. Or previous sessions, I keep listening to myself and I keep telling myself, how can I be better? So these questions that you have of, tell me something about yourself, your biggest achievement, just listen to yourself and see, am I clear? Am I communicating well? Do I have the confidence? I also want to tell you, everyone tells you, start reading. Take baby steps, start watching English movies. More than English movies, what I want you to do is start watching news. Look at the way how reporters, and I'm saying not the Aaj Tak, I'm saying probably an NDTV, where you have a reporter who is actually communicating in English, so that you can pick up how to communicate professionally. And look at the amount of confidence they have. Look at how they are modulating their voice. It's not about what you say, it's how you say. Always remember that. It's not what you say, it's how you say. A lot of times when we are sitting in an interview, we are not just focusing on the right answer. We are also focusing on how are you saying that. If you are so nervous, if you are so scared of opening your mouth, my question in my mind and in every interviewer's mind is, will this person be able to take care of my organization? I'm going to again just pick up a few more questions. Okay, the next question was by Ria. What are the things to be considered while making our CV which will give an edge to our profile? Ria, your CV is your CV. Okay, your skills. What have you done? What are your personal hobbies? Now, a lot of times people write, watching movies, watching TVs. If that could actually be your hobby, but why don't you write in detail that, I do enjoy cooking. I watch a lot of cookery show. I do enjoy traveling. I watch a lot of tourism shows. Now, trust me, that makes it a little more professional. And at the same time, it adds a little bit of an edge to your overall personality and your profile as well. There are a lot of websites. Okay, Google that, how can you there are a lot of websites that actually give you these templates. I don't know if the college prefers having a photo on the CV, but I would personally recommend, please do that. Having your photo on the CV, and at the same time, calling out those achievements. While there is a standard template in place already, but at the same time, what are you writing is very important. Your CV should give you. See, I'll tell you what. Right now, I know all the students who have gone through the same curriculum. Okay, how many of you are doing a lot of online courses that are available free of course? So there is Coursera, there is Udemy, LinkedIn in between was also a lot, offering a lot of free courses. These are things that you should do and you should add, because when I'm looking at 10 different CVs, and if I see, hey, that this person has actually gone ahead and done a course around marketing, has done a course around virtual marketing or digital marketing, that gives you an edge. Okay, so your CV is going to be differentiated by the skills that you bring in. Your skills are going to bring that differentiation. What is important for freshers candidate in an interview? Well, to be a fresher, you have your knowledge, you've gone through your course, you've studied well, your confidence, communication, and a fresher needs to know what is happening within the industry, whether you're a fresher or whether you're a lateral hire. So those are extra things that you need to be doing. Sometimes overconfidence during an interview is also a drawback. Good one, Ayush. I think you rightly mentioned, it's a very thin line, of being overconfident. The interviewer saying that, can you please be loud, and you literally just jump over them. The way there is a difference between assertive and aggressive. I'm telling you to be assertive. I'm not telling you to be aggressive. Be confident, okay, so that the interviewer has confidence in you. Don't be so overconfident that the interviewer feels that this person cannot be part of our organization. Ma'am, my question is, should we, in an interview, mix up Hindi and English? Well, I'll tell you what. While you are speaking, and I don't know if you realized in the last 40 minutes also, if I am falling short of a word, at the end of the day, my mother tongue is Hindi. If I'm falling short of a word and I want to prove a point, I can't think of that word. Rather than fumbling, I can always use Hindi. It is fine. No one is going to kill you. But at the same time, I do want to let you know, there are a lot of MNCs coming in your organization. You have studied so much. You've dedicated how many years? About 15, 16, 17 years of your life, right from nursery to your 12th, to your entire college, studying. And if you can't speak confidently in English, it's a question mark. Okay, it is at the end of the day a matter of choice. You should be able to confidently convey your point, but I will still say that, speak in English. Yeah, today we want to go global. We all want to work with multinational organizations. So that language barrier of English really needs to be overcome. But at the same time, what I'm also saying is that, go with your natural flow. If you are fumbling too much, if you feel that you're getting too nervous, try and fall back on Hindi, but go back on the English, which should be your first and primary language. Have I missed out on any questions? What to mainly research about company for an interview? Well, when you are reading about the organization, start by just looking at their company profile. How long have they been in the industry? What are the different therapies or different divisions that they have? Which are their major products that the organization is known for? What is the organization's vision and mission? These are things that you should know. Who is the MD or the CEO of the organization? That name should be registered in your mind. Which are, if it's a global organization, where are they headquartered? Simple questions. And I'll tell you what, it's a very smart way. If you have done that bit of research during your interview, also try and share that with the interviewer that, ma'am, while I was reading, or sir, while I was reading about the organization and the role, I was amazed that, the organization operates in 70 different companies. So it's a very smart way that, while the interviewer may not have asked you that, but you try and show that, hey, I have gone over and above and I have read about the organization. Okay. what are different hobbies and skills. Abhinay, you would know what do you like doing in your free time? Okay. Does fresher also have lateral entry interviews? No, a fresher would have when we say a lateral hire is someone who already has worked in an organization and then comes to us. So that's what a lateral hire is. How can you improve your skill for interview? Well, you know what? The more you sit through those interviews, and there is never a right or a wrong way. Also, there is never a right or a wrong way. You know, at times the entire interview experience is two ways. You know, you can practice to an extent, and I'm going to say that 90% it will go as per what you are practicing, but that 10% is always there, where based on the interviewer's mood, based on the way the interviewer wants to conduct the interview, it may take a different turn. But what I want you to do is put your effort. You take out the effort, put in your effort, output will come. If nothing happens, if things don't click, at least it will be a learning experience for you. And that is also important. I also want to share that learn from others' failures also. Okay. Within your own community, within the student fraternity, when you give an interview, you don't clear, why don't you come back and share with the others what you think went wrong? Because I think that's what we want to do, right? Imagine after 10 years, after 20 years, you meet each other and you share that hey, because of that day what you shared with me, I was able to start my career. I did not make the same mistake that you made. Okay. What percentage of extracurricular activities? Well, again, it depends from organization, culture to culture. But I do want to let you know, like I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, we were hiring for someone in my team. So I also take care of the learning management system, okay? The learning management system, the system through which all the employees learn. And I saw that there is a candidate who has worked a lot on website creation and is good with HTML. Now those are skills that I know I don't have anyone in the team doing, but those are his hobbies. He likes to do that in his free time. And I went ahead and I hired him because that was an extra edge. Now you don't have to go up and go back and start making up a hobby. Don't do that. That's not the intent. Or a lot of times when people I like reading books, I'm telling you, high chances the interviewer might actually ask you which was the last book you read, or which is your favorite author. So don't make up things. If you don't have. That's also fine. That's absolutely fine. But what I do want to say is, if you really like doing something, if you like watching something, mention that in a professional way. Okay. Which things are more important to facing an interview? Avdesh, like I said, it always starts with your competency. There is no shortcut. No matter how confident you are, how good you're communicating, if you don't have the knowledge, if you don't have your academics, that's why, a lot of organizations like ours, we actually have some sort of a minimum criteria that, only if you have this percentage, please do apply to us. Or what we do, we conduct an aptitude test. We want that to be the first stage, because there is absolutely no compromise on knowledge also. Okay, so start by going back, working, brushing up your knowledge. Rupia, is there any other question that I've missed? I would request you to.
Yeah, there's one more question. In the last answer says, in virtual interview, how to reduce the camera fear.
Mm-hmm. How to use the camera? Well, the first thing is,
the question is how to reduce the camera fear.
How to reduce the camera fear? I want to share two things, and this is not just because I'm sharing with you. While we were getting our employees also ready, because the lockdown suddenly happened. No one had ever worked virtually. We have so many employees who are in their late 40s, early 50s, and telling them that, it's okay, it's just a camera, don't be afraid. One thing that we taught them was, if you have a bindi or if you have a small red mark that you can put on your camera, that reminds you that, always keep looking there. A lot of times, during interviews, what also happens is you're looking at the screen and it's very distracting for the person who's watching you, because they are seeing that this person is not maintaining an eye contact. So remind yourself, put something up there that reminds you to look here. And what you also need to do is, like I said, keep this as a screenshot. You have to constantly tell yourself that this interview, making it, breaking it, it's in my hand. I have done so much work. I've put in so much hard work. I've studied for the last 2, 3, 4 years now. And now is the time. The next 20 minutes, 30 minutes will decide whether I get hired in this interview or not. Having peace in yourself, keeping water, little tricks, but trust me, these work wonders, not to get nervous, not to get scared. I know from the other end, any question can happen. Any question can come. You might not even know the answer. You can very politely, very confidently say that, sir, I'm not sure about the answer, but I do want to give it a try, and give it a try. So those are little ways that, again, the more you do, the better you become. But each interview that you enter, give your 110%, not even 100, give your 110%. Any other question, Rubia?
I think, ma'am, that was the last question. One more question is by Amit Kumar Chauhan, but I think you have already answered that particular question, which was earlier raised by a student. That how to improve your CV and research about companies for an interview. I think student, ma'am, have already answered this question. So I think, ma'am, we should go ahead with the session.
Okay, I have last 10 minutes, and this is something that, again, I was reflecting back that, okay, if I really want to give something back to all of you and give something back to students, something that I wish someone had told me when I was back there. My first job was with Kotak Mahindra Bank in June 2010. Okay, so this year I actually completed 10 years of that. And I wish, and I sat through campus, I got into Kotak through campus. I wish someone had told me just 3 things. The first was, in life, there is no shortcut. You have to put in effort. If you think someone is going to come and spoon feed you, it doesn't work. You have to learn how to fish for yourself. Your professors, your family members, parents can feed you fish, but that won't help you in life. You need to help yourself. There is no shortcut. The second one is, and I want all of you to remember this, don't let one failure determine your self-worth. It means, एक interview, just because one interview did not crack, just because you failed in 2 interviews or 5 interviews, doesn't mean that your confidence goes down. You can't let one interviewer or 5 interviewers or 10 interviewers tell you that you are bad. You know your skills more than anyone else. You will fit in the right organization. So never, ever, ever get disappointed, and don't let that one interviewer decide your self-worth. And at the same time, all of you have started together, you are completing the course together, but don't compare your life journey to another. Just because someone got placed in X organization, their package is XYZ, doesn't mean after 5 years you can't be ahead of them. Don't make it a rat race. Each one of you are in your own journey. You might choose an organization because of location, because of the job profile. They might choose an organization maybe just because of money. So don't get into the comparisons. And I'm telling you this because right now, when I go back to my alumni meet, I meet everyone, and I look at the fact that the toppers are not always the ones who are successful in life. And the backbenchers are not the ones who are failures in life. Absolutely not. To be very honest, the backbenchers are the ones who are actually the most creative, who've gone ahead, started their startups, and right now probably are in the millionaire league, because they were thinking differently. So don't compare. Don't compare. 3 things, again, no shortcuts. Don't let one failure determine your self-worth, and don't compare your life journey to others. And with that, I want to end this session. And I do want to say, like I told all of you, feel free to reach out to people on LinkedIn, take their help, take their support. 4 people you reach out to, at least 1 or 2 will respond back to you. They might tell you, I'm busy right now, can we connect over weekend? Yes, of course, you should take that effort. So in that request, my request would be that, at any point of time, if you need my help, my guidance, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be more than happy to help and guide. And I hope that, the last 15 minutes were helpful, because I know you're having a lot of sessions, a lot of people are coming and sharing their experiences with you. With the little that I have learned in my life till now, I wanted to be honest, transparent, and I wanted to share that with you. With that, thank you so much, Rubia madam, for inviting me, and also for giving me this opportunity, because I genuinely feel good, after interacting and after giving back, because these are things that people never told me, and I wish someone at that point of time shared this with me.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lavneet madam. I think the pleasure is all ours. It has been really extremely learning session throughout, and students have been very interactive. I think that itself justifies that how much they were learning during the session. That's why the questions were coming in their minds. And I must say that you have touched upon all the aspects of not only virtual interviews but also the face-to-face interviews. And you have also ended the session on a very positive note, that the toppers are not only the ones who always end up doing the great things. It's most of the times the backbenchers who make the most out of their career. So I think we do have a lot many students who are not very good in studies or in terms of communication. So they start selling themselves very short. So I think students should make a point of this, that you should never sell yourself short. Rather, you should work on your skills, which ma'am have continuously mentioned during the session. So I think, again, I would say it has been a very extremely learning session, ma'am. And again, it has been a pleasure having you here and getting to know about the virtual interviews and other aspects which has to be kept in mind, especially for the students. And also the student, one of our students have mentioned the chat box that she would wait for your next session. So it clearly says that how much students have learned during this session, and mostly because you have been very clear and transparent. That's why students have been able to relate to whatever you have mentioned. And also, I completely agree that that the things which you have mentioned, most of the students which have completed the graduation 10 years back, they must realize, they continuously realize this thing, that wish we had been taught these things back at the days when we were in the college. So I think this is an advantage to the students who are currently taking their courses or who are in the college. So I think it's all because of people like you who think of giving back to the society by interacting with students. So thank you so much, ma'am, once again. And truly, we would look forward to next time to having your time of interaction with our students, ma'am.
The pleasure will be all mine. Thank you so much, everyone. All the best. You are the future. Okay, all of you are going to be joining different organizations. You are the future. You are the future of tomorrow. Just one note of advice: please come back. When you are in those positions, come back to your college, give back as well. Giving back to the society, giving back to your juniors is very important. And on that note, I think I will take a leave. And thank you so much, Rubia, again.
Thank you so much, Lavneet ma'am. Thank you.